don't know how true this is, but the latest story, I think it's come from the Telegraph, I think it's come from Matt Law, is that West Ham are going to look to appoint an interim manager between now and the end of the season. Now, before I start even continuing on that, it wouldn't be an interim manager between now and the end of the season because, as Joe mentioned when he did his video, he did his live stream earlier on, actually an interim manager after we've lost our next 2 games until the end of the season. This is madness, obviously. Absolute lunacy. I was expecting a little bit of action, I've got to say, and I don't mean on the football pitch. I actually know what I was. I was expecting, and I always do, and I often get this wrong, completely wrong, because I expect people's survival instincts to kick in. It's the one thing I think everyone should have. So at the point where Graham Potter thinks my job is going, survival instinct kicks in. Do something different. Drop James Ward-Prowse. That's what I thought James Ward-Prowse might be dropped. That being said, I did predict him to play. But you get what I'm saying. Where's your survival instinct? Drop him. Do something different. Did the same thing, got the same result, right? And even from the fact that we conceded from a corner again, not that that was particularly James Ward-Prowse's fault, but I also expect it with the ownership as well. There was a lot of people at the protest yesterday, a lot of people. I've no doubt that whatever the figure was will have been diluted down and would have been reported back to Sullivan as less than what it was. But you still expect his survival instincts to kick in, which is why I thought Potter would get thrown under the bus. Which is a case of, right, and that is it. You know, you're being thrown under the bus instead of me. I'm going to take the pressure off myself by getting rid of him and say, look, he's the problem. Yet, somehow we've got this halfway house, which is, if I've understood this correctly, and we don't know that any of this is true, but the longer it goes on, the more it makes more sense, because I did my video yesterday, and I said, oh, by the time I upload this, he might be sacked. How naive am I, right? But if we're to understand it to be true, the West Ham owners believe that a new manager should not be put in charge for Arsenal and Everton games. It's the other way around, actually, isn't it? But because they think that they're unwinnable. I'd like to know how that fits in with a 10-point plan. I'd like to know how that fits in with a pledge and a statement from the club. Oh, right. Okay, so now we're throwing games because we can't beat Everton or Arsenal. Well, this is madness. I thought we threw the first couple of games at the start of the season, by the way. I said it before. I think we left our business so late that we thought, actually, do you know what? We'll leave it. We'll lose the first couple of games. To be fair, I think the club was so arrogant, there's no way they thought that Sunderland could beat us. But it was always going to be a tough game. Going up there, Stadium of Light, etc., etc. But I felt it cost us. And here we are about to throw another couple of games. How arrogant are we? How arrogant? I don't mean us. I mean the ownership as a club to think, actually, we can surrender 12 points, no problem, and we'll be fine. Well, you won't be fine. You're going to get done. That's what's going to happen. It's, honestly, I'm flabbergasted by it. From everybody's point of view. So what seems to be the case is that Mark Noble is not going to be put in to manage, for instance, those couple of games, or Potts or Robson or anyone like that is not going to be put in to manage those 2 games. Graham Potter is going to be left in charge on 2 games which they expect him to lose. And then someone else is going to come in after those nasty, tough games have been lost. What? I beg your pardon? How does that work from anyone's point of view? How would any one of the 3 parties accept it? Either the people making the decision, either the basically lame duck, dead man walking manager, or the manager coming in. How have any one of those agreed to that? I find it a miracle that one of them has agreed to that. Never mind all bloody 3 of them. So Gold and Sullivan, sorry, I don't mean that. Brady and Sullivan think that's a good idea. I don't know, does Potter? Potter probably doesn't. Then walk, and he's not walking for, I guess, the reason. If he knows he's going to get sacked. Maybe he's got some belief that he can win against Arsenal or Everton. Do you know what? Fair play to him. To be fair, he did beat Arsenal last season. Actually, maybe he's the one you could make exempt from that. As he's probably looking at it thinking, I've got 2 games where I can turn this around. What about a new manager? I've never understood. By the way, we don't know who that new manager is yet. Although I tell you what, Slav wouldn't agree to that. Slav would be straight in. Slav would be, let me get in there now. I want to take charge against Arsenal. I want to take charge against Everton. Do I think Slav has had a good recent record? No, I don't even think he's the best manager in the world. I thought he was really good for West Ham. I thought he was the right manager at the right time. And I thought he finished poorly. Slaven Bilic wouldn't be in my top 50 for next managers of West Ham. But I tell you this much. He wouldn't have that. There's no way. There's no way he'd be in there because I tell you what, out of all of them, out of the owners, out of Potter, he might be the one person that has West Ham's best interests at heart. The one person. Anyway, I just think, why would you do that? Why would you? They've shown that they're classless before, by the way, the owners, from Lopetegui, who I think, again, was a terrible manager. But they let him manage the team when they knew he was going to sack him when his dad had just died, whilst Potter was in the building, signing his contract. I mean, come on. And to be fair, Potter can have no complaints if he is dealt with in the same way, because you live by the sword, die by the sword, right? And he's known, he's looked the beast in the eye. He knows exactly how this board of directors can operate because he's been a beneficiary of it. Now, this time he's going to be the victim of it. But even from his point of view, he had, by all accounts, a 40 million £40 net payoff from Chelsea. He would have earned decent enough money at Brighton. This geezer is sorted. His children are sorted. His grandchildren are sorted, right? Why? If he's a dead man walking, I mean, he should walk away. I think we've probably covered that. He probably thinks that he can turn it round. Well, he can't. If I wasn't sure before, and I would have said I suspect, he's got no answers. Now I'm damn certain Potter cannot lead this team. It's such a lethargy. He has no energy. He has no command in demeanour. He does not command that 6 yard, whatever the technical spot, 6 yards at London Stadium. It's about 100 square, a couple of acres, I think. But he's got no command of there. He doesn't exude leadership. He don't feel that there's a lot of stuff going between him and the bench and the players. And I don't know. Look, how often have I've never sat that close to the bench. No, not at that stadium anyway. Not at home game at that stadium. Nowhere near. Never. No. So maybe players are always sort of slouched on the bench and not looking up for it. I don't know. There was a different vibrancy about the Palace bench, about the coaches, even just the way the team warmed up and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking for stuff that's not there. Maybe maybe I've got a confirmation bias. I'm looking, thinking, oh yeah, he's not up for it. He's not up for it. He's not up for it. But I tell you now, he is not capable. And do you know what the worst thing is? Both Brady and Sullivan know he's not capable, and they're going to keep him in place. These people are not fit to run the football club. I find the whole thing weird, really, really odd, actually. They must look around and see. I don't know if they were aware of what happened at Sunderland today, but they kept on scrapping down to 10 men. Just the spirit that they showed. They must, and look at what they've done. They've been forward-thinking. They've been proactive. They have a philosophy. They have a direction of travel where they've appointed a really good director of football. There's a strategy behind their recruitment. Just so good, right? Wouldn't you look at that if you were in that position and think, well, what are they doing? They're doing something different. You'd do it. Sorry to bring it back for food because I like my food analogies. But if you had a baker's on the high street and the baker opposite over the road had more customers than you, baked better cakes, you'd wonder what was going on, wouldn't you? You'd go and steal their recipe or their chef. You wouldn't have to steal the recipe, just hire the chef. Right? You'd do something. This lot have got no idea. And I'm gobsmacked. I'm constantly bewildered. I'm constantly surprised. I talk about Potter's survival instinct, their survival instinct, as I say, just to do something And they're going to sit there. They're going to do nothing. Unwavering. They cannot. The time is up. They cannot be running the club anymore. But actually, the way Potter is being allowed to plod on is actually symbolic of what's going on upstairs. They're plodding on, incapable of turning it around, and Potter's there plodding on, incapable of turning it around. And this has been, it's not a case of either or. It's all of them. Potter's making players worse. I've no doubt about that. There was how Jared Bowen, playing like he is carrying on. He's still managed to score a goal and playing in this team. Awful. It's awful. I don't mean Jared Bowen's awful. I just mean even the good players are being made absolute crap. Made to look absolute crap. There was a point last season where you would have convinced me that actually he got more out of Lucas Paqueta, as I think he did. But that's it. Honestly, he is making players worse. And how, as owners, you can sit there and not take action against that and think, oh, do you know, we might leave it for another... Yeah, should we leave it for another couple of games? Yeah, because we've got so little faith in him. We know he's not going to win the games. Oh, and by the way, we've got so little faith in the next person coming in that we don't think they can win those games anyway, which means you've got zero faith in the squad that you've put together. Yet you put all that statement out about forward planning and progressive recruitment and all that nonsense. You don't even believe it yourselves. That's evident. You can see that. Actions speak louder than words, right? They know. I think they know they're screwed. They know they're screwed. Anyway, time's up. Just time is up. It's just me saying it. All right, I can't make them leave. You can't, I think, honestly, maybe the media pressure keeps up and ramp up the volume. But I don't. I think they're tone deaf to it. I don't even think they hear it. I think it's external noise. I don't even know what happened. I don't know if they dug a secret tunnel under the stadium or something and popped up there yesterday or something and avoided all the noise outside the stadium. Who knows? I don't know. The truth is, I don't know. I'd imagine they got in there very, very early, didn't they? Who knows? Don't know. But what a mess. What an absolute mess. I cannot believe this. So, yeah, anyway, sorry, bit of a mess at the end of the video there. Looks like there might be a point in an interim manager. What I would say is if that's going to be the case, then it's far more likely to be Bilic than Nuno, because would Nuno accept it on an interim? He doesn't need to accept it as that. And also, I mean, he doesn't want a relegation on his CV either. And I think anybody would be looking at that and thinking, actually, I can't afford to lose those 6 points. In many respects, Nuno's got far more to lose than Bilic. Far more. But I think I think any manager worth his salt with a reputation to keep, like Nuno, probably be saying, no, I want Everton and I want Arsenal. So, but apparently we're still in for him. He's not. He's had his interview. And that would be terrible, wouldn't it? That is probably the most damning thing of all. I'll finish with this. That on Thursday, he had an interview with Karren Brady, went very well. On Friday, he had an interview with David Sullivan. One can only assume it went very well. At that point, they decide he's the man for the job. Even though they think that they found the right man for the job and they think that the current person in the position can't do the job, they're still not going to make the change.